Something strange happens in Hudson and Rex Season 8, Episode 3. Something so small that most people didn't even notice it. But this tiny moment changes everything. It is a silent warning hidden inside the episode. A message the writers didn't speak but showed. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. In this episode, we see Hudson and Rex take on a case that appears simple at first. A break-in gone wrong, one missing piece of evidence, and a witness who knows more than she admits. It feels like a normal case, something they've handled before. But Season 8, Episode 3 carries a different energy. There's quiet tension in almost every scene. It slowly builds without saying much. Right from the beginning, Hudson doesn't look like himself. It's not something obvious. He isn't angry, he isn't sad. But the way he moves, the way he looks around, even the way he speaks, it feels like his mind is somewhere else. Rex notices it first. While Hudson questions a suspect, Rex keeps watching Hudson instead of the suspect. It's as if Rex senses something is wrong not with the case. But with his partner, there's a brief moment outside the crime scene, where Rex tries to get Hudson's attention, tugging gently at his jacket. Hudson smiles and pets him, but the smile doesn't fully reach his eyes. Something is bothering him. Something personal. This is the first hidden detail of the episode, the shift in Hudson's behavior. But the question is, why is he acting this way? The episode doesn't directly explain it. Instead, it leaves small clues sprinkled throughout. A pause when someone mentions trust. A distant stare when someone brings up the past. And a small hint found later in Hudson's office. Something we'll discover in Section 2, this change in Hudson. Isn't a random detail, it is the start of a hidden emotional arc that the writers are building this season. Episode 3 is quietly preparing us for something bigger. Rex knows it. We feel it. And soon, the clues will make it clear. There is a moment in Episode 3 that seems small. But it's actually the first real warning sign that something is wrong with Hudson. Most viewers missed it because it happens fast and the show doesn't draw attention to it. But if you look closely, it's not part of the case. It's personal. During the investigation, Hudson and Rex search a workshop tied to their suspect. Jesse calls Hudson with new intel, but Hudson doesn't answer right away. Instead, he stops walking and stares at a tool bench. The camera lingers for a second, not on the room, not on Rex, but on Hudson's face. He looks lost, almost like a memory just hit him hard. Then he snaps out of it and answers the phone, pretending nothing happened. Why is this important? Because it's not about the phone call. It's about where he froze. On that bench, next to a pile of tools, is a small engraved metal tag. If you zoom in, you can read it. For those we couldn't save. It looks like an award plaque, but it's really a reminder something connected to Hudson's past cases. Maybe even a case he still blames himself for. Rex senses it. He walks back to Hudson and nudges his hand, not in a playful way, but gently like he's checking on him. Hudson doesn't say a word. He just pets Rex and moves on. But that moment reveals something huge. Hudson is carrying emotional weight from a past failure. And Episode 3 is quietly pulling that pain back into the story. Notice how the writers hide this emotion. They don't let Hudson talk about it. They show it. A pause. A glance. A silent reaction. That is the power of this scene. What isn't said is louder than the dialogue. This tiny hint sets the stage for a deeper emotional arc that will unfold in future episodes. There is a scene in this episode that feels normal at first, but it secretly points toward a future twist coming later in the season. It's quick, quiet, and incredibly easy to overlook, but it reveals a bigger threat building in the background. This moment happens at the precinct. During a short break in the investigation, Jesse is working on the suspect's digital history, and Sarah is reviewing lab results. Hudson steps aside to grab a file, and that's when something strange happens. The camera briefly shows a computer screen behind Hudson just for 1 second. And on it is a name that has nothing to do with this case. The name is E. Maddox. To most people, that name means nothing. Just a random file. But longtime viewers know better. Maddox isn't random. He was a dangerous enemy from a past case, that almost cost Hudson his career. Maddox is a criminal mastermind who disappeared without a trace. So why is his name suddenly on a police database search? And why does the show flash it for only a moment? This is a classic foreshadowing technique. The writers are planting a seed, quietly warning us that Maddox may be returning. But here's the deeper detail. Hudson notices it. His eyes shift slightly when the screen shows Maddox's name. He doesn't react out loud, but the tension is visible in his face. He knows exactly who Maddox is, and he doesn't like what he sees. The show doesn't bring it up again. Nobody mentions Maddox. The case moves forward like nothing happened. But that is exactly why this moment matters. It proves someone may be watching Hudson, testing him, or setting a trap. Episode 3 isn't just about solving a crime. It's preparing something bigger, a hidden enemy moving in silence. This single second on screen is like a quiet alarm. The past is returning. And Hudson has no idea how close it already is. Every great mystery hides its biggest truth in the open. And in Episode 3, that truth appears not in the dialogue, not in the investigation, but in a small object that appears again and again if you pay attention. Most viewers thought it was just part of the set, but it's actually a message. The object is a black notebook. It first appears on Hudson's desk at the precinct closed, placed to the side as if it doesn't matter. But later in the episode, it shows up again in a different scene. When Hudson visits the victim's home to look for clues, that same notebook is seen on a shelf in the background, same size, same color, same worn edges. Two completely different locations. Same notebook. Coincidence? Not likely. Hudson and Rex is known for hiding story hints in everyday props, and this notebook is too deliberate to ignore. Near the end of the episode, the notebook appears for a third time in the suspect's workshop, half buried under papers. Hudson picks it up and flips through it. We only see one page clearly, a list of names. Most of them are crossed out, but one name isn't Charlie Hudson. This is more than a clue. It's a warning. Someone is making a list of targets, and Hudson is next. The notebook doesn't belong to the suspect. It belongs to someone else. Someone who knows Hudson. Someone who has been following him long before this case. But here's the most unsettling part. Rex reacts to the notebook too. He growls as Hudson holds it, like he recognizes the centaur, the danger. Hudson turns a page. His face tightens, and he closes the notebook immediately. He says nothing, not to Joe, not to Sarah, not even to Rex. He takes the notebook with him, but we don't see it again in this episode. Why does he hide it? What did he see in those pages? The notebook connects this single case to a bigger story arc that started long ago. And it hints that someone from Hudson's past is watching. There is a scene in Episode 3 that lasts less than 30 seconds, yet it carries more emotion than most people realized. It doesn't involve any dramatic music, no intense dialogue, no shocking clue, just Hudson and Rex alone for a moment. But this quiet scene reveals a truth the episode tries to hide. It happens late in the investigation. Hudson has been acting distant, carrying the weight of something he hasn't shared with his team. After finding the notebook, he walks outside the workshop and sits down on a step, lost in thought. The world around him is silent. He doesn't move. He doesn't speak. And for the first time in the episode, he looks tired. Not physically tired, but emotionally heavy. Like he's been fighting to battles the case and his past. Then Rex appears. He doesn't bark or play or demand attention. He simply sits beside Hudson. At first, Hudson ignores him, staring ahead. But Rex doesn't leave. He leans in closer and presses his head against Hudson's shoulder. No words. Just a quiet reminder you're not alone. Hudson's reaction is tiny but deep. He doesn't smile. He doesn't joke. He closes his eyes, takes a slow breath, and finally rests his hand on Rex. That's when you notice it. His eyes are wet. Not crying, but close. This is not a detective trying to solve a case. This is a man carrying something painful, and Rex is the only one who sees it. This moment is important for two reasons. It shows Hudson is hiding something not from the audience. but from his own team. Whatever is haunting him, he refuses to talk about it. It proves Rex understands more than anyone else. He isn't just a canine partner. He is Hudson's shield, his silent protector, and sometimes the only thing keeping him grounded. The writers didn't add this moment for emotion alone. It's a signal. Something is coming that will test Hudson not just as a detective, but as a person. And when that happens, Rex will be the first to know. This is not just teamwork. This is loyalty. This is trust. This is the start of an emotional story that episode 3 hides beneath the surface. Because the real danger isn't just outside. It's inside Hudson, and it's growing. Some hidden details are clues. Some are warnings, but this one is a message from the writers to true fans of the show. It appears in a simple scene that most viewers didn't think twice about. But if you've been watching Hudson and Rex since the early seasons, this tiny moment will hit you like a wave of memory. The scene takes place inside Joe's office. Hudson is updating Joe about the case, but if you look past the dialogue and focus on the background, you'll notice a small picture frame on Joe's desk. Inside it, there's an old photograph of Charlie Hudson with his former partner, Grace. Grace hasn't been mentioned in a long time. She was part of Hudson's past before Rex, before his current team, before he found stability again. Her departure left emotional scars on Hudson that he never fully talked about. Most people would think the photo is just a prop, but here's the twist. That same exact photo was shown in Season 2, Episode 4, in a scene where Hudson talks about losing partners and why he struggles to trust people fully. So, why did the writers bring it back now, after so many seasons? Because Episode 3 is doing something subtle. It's reopening Hudson's past. Between the memory triggered in the workshop, the mysterious notebook with his name inside, and now this photo of Grace reappearing, the message becomes clear. Hudson's history is not buried. Something or someone is dragging it back. Joe sees Hudson glance at the photo during the scene. For a second, Hudson pauses too long to be casual. He doesn't say anything about it, but his silence speaks louder than words. Joe notices the reaction. He looks at Hudson carefully, almost like he knows Hudson is hiding more than he's saying. The camera holds just a little too long on Joe's face. There's something unspoken happening between them. This Easter egg isn't just nostalgia, and it's not only for fans. It's a clue that the emotional core of this season goes deeper than the cases. Episode 3 is quietly reminding us of a painful truth. Hudson has been broken before, and someone may be trying to break him again.